Hi, this is Randy Wimmer with the Government Contracting Academy, and I'm going to teach you how you're going to make your first dollar bill in the federal government contracting industry. And it's not nearly as hard as what you think it is. The Small Business Administration, they have two small business set-aside goals. The first one is 23% of prime contract dollars are going to go to small businesses. We all know about that one. However, not too many people know about the second goal that they have. And that goal is that for these massive, large, prime contracts that are worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, that they have to have a 29.43% small business subcontracting earmark. That means that almost a third of those massive contracts are going to be going to small businesses. There are over 2,000 opportunities between $100 million and $100 billion that are all going to have this 29.43% small business subcontracting earmark associated with them coming out in the next year. But again, you got to compete to get on one of these bid teams, because again, they give some to women-owned small business, some percentage to service-disabled veteran-owned small business, some to 8A or minority-owned small businesses, and some to hub-zoned, historically unutilized business zone companies, and some to generic small business. But you got to compete. Now, how do you take that 100,000 plus small business competitive field, because that's how many small businesses are in the federal government contracting industry? It's literally over 100,000. And how do you get that down to a manageable number that you can beat? Because again, this is a competition. This is a contact sport. So we've all heard the parable about the hare and the tortoise. In business, there's no such thing as the hare taking a nap. The hare beats the tortoise every single time. So who do you want to race? You want to race the tortoise, because the tortoise is slow. They're slow. They're going to lose. So you want to be racing the tortoises. So who are the tortoises in the federal government contracting industry? Well, to be honest with you, they're hub zones, historically unutilized business zone. Now, here's the good news about hub zones. You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to be a veteran, a service-disabled veteran. You don't have to be a minority. None of that. You can always become a hub zone, and it's the best one. So if you are competing as a hub zone to get on these bid teams, instead of competing against 100,000, you're competing with less than 5,000 hub zones. Less than 5,000. So you've eliminated over 95% of your competition. The second thing that you could do is you could get an ISO 9001 certification. Now, why is that so important? No matter how beloved, no matter how trusted these prime bidding companies are, and they're all the marquee ones that go after these massive contracts, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamic, Raytheon. We are talking about the bluest of blue chip companies. They are the best of the best of the best. IBM, at most, they're only going to be doing approximately 2/3 of the contract. Guess who's going to be doing 29.43% at a minimum? It's going to be small businesses, companies that nobody's ever heard of. Nobody. And that just screams of risk. So one of the things that ISO 9001 does is it immediately tells that prime bidder that you are mature and low risk. It's going to put you at the front of the line. Here's the other great thing about ISO. In 2023, there were only 51 government contracting hub zone companies that had ISO 9001 certification. So now you went from under 5,000 to under 100 to about 51. Think about that. Now let's say you go one step further, and in addition to getting ISO 9001 Quality Management System certification, you also got ISO 27001, which is Information Security Management certification. Information security, oh my gosh, talking about one of the biggest risks going right now. Cyber attacks, ransomware attacks, data breaches, data leaks, data spillage. 95% of white-collar services companies, the data that they touch will either be classified, controlled, unclassified, PII, personal identifiable information, or proprietary. 95%. Having ISO 27001 Information Security Management says, and will keep you off the front page of the Washington Post, which everybody loves to hear, when it comes to security. only 16 companies had 2 or more ISO certifications that were HubZone in 2023. 16. So you have just effectively reduced your competitive field trying to get on these bids from over 100,000 to under 20 if you have 2 ISO certifications. And I know that's hard to believe. I know that's hard. Yeah, Randy, you just made it seem so simple. Well, this is a proof point. Over 2/3 of the federal government agencies failed to meet their subcontracting goals for hub zones. It's a fact. Right there it is. They got a 3% hub zone subcontracting goal, and if it's less than 3% that was attained, it's highlighted in gold because that's what it's worth to you. That 3% across the board for hub zone subcontracting, earmarks equates to, well over $10 billion a year. Now, and 2/3 of these federal government agencies fail to meet their subcontracting goals for hub zones because they can't find enough of them that are low risk, that can be verified as being low risk. It's all about risk. Like I said, 1/3 of these massive contracts are going to be done by companies that nobody's ever heard of. They need proof points that you are low risk. So how do you become a hub zone? It's easy. Find an office in one of these colored specs, and it could be a friend's house, it could be your house. You're really lucky if it's your house, because if it's your house and you're using your house as your home office, you're your only employee and you reside in a hub zone, and you're off to the races. Submit your hub zone application and you're in. But even if you don't happen to live in one of these specs, I've yet to meet a company owner that wasn't at least 30 minutes away from at least 3 designated hub zone areas. The second major criteria is you have to have 35% of your employees reside in a hub zone. So what constitutes an employee for a hub zone application? Well, it's an employee that works 40 hours a month, not a week, 40 hours a month. That's 10 hours a week at minimum wage. So you do that for minimum of 3 payroll cycles to submit your application, because you have to do 3 payroll cycles, and then you apply. Now, once you get your hub zone, you're supposed to keep them employed, but you don't have to. Nobody will know. So that's how easy it is to become hub zone when you're a startup, when you're a small business. So in summary, this is what you do. You become a highly competitive company by getting these set-aside statuses that they're desperately looking for, like hub zone. And then you're getting corporate credentials that immediately prove that you are a low-risk, mature company. Otherwise, they won't even talk to you. And then what you do is you create a nice-looking website. I've got people who can help you do that for a little bit of nothing. Once you have a great website and something to sell from it, then you do massive outreach. And I can teach you how to reach literally tens of thousands of business development executives to tell them just how sexy you are. Hi, my name is Bob. I'm the CEO of an ISO 9001, ISO 27001 certified hub zone. I'd love to meet with you to learn how I may become one of your trusted hub zone partners. Anticipate a 1.5% hit rate, which is ridiculously low, but let's just be conservative here. And everybody's going to say, well, 1.5% hit rate is not worth doing it. Well, it's not if you're doing it with 10 companies or with 100 leads or even 1,000 leads. But what if you did 10,000? That's 150 business development executives that can make your life better. Maybe not immediately, but usually within a period of 2 years. So what do? You just keep them warm, maintain that relationship. And you have 150 people that's going to make your life better. It's all about the numbers. It's an industry of big numbers. You got to play the big numbers. And if you do that, you're going to have success. Now, the clients that are doing this process right here, they've been doing it, some of them have been doing this for about a year, and they're already on, no kidding, 18 bid teams. They're averaging about a bid team, I would say about once every 3 weeks or so. And that is how you're going to make your first dollar bill in the federal government contracting industry.